All right, that is our look at the schedule. Everything has gone ahead. Yep, we're going to move the drone shot to the start of the day. Everything is good there. Really, from a cinematographer's perspective, as I mentioned in the start of this section, really the big things that you are looking for are initial lighting setups and then major directional flops. And directional flops is probably more important for keeping the crew happy and keeping everybody motivated throughout the day. They're not doing double work. The quickest way to get the crew against you is to do double work or require double work be done. What I mean by that is if we're going to shoot one direction, the medium shot, and then we're going to flip everything around and shoot the opposite medium shot, so a directional flop to the other side, and then go back again to do the close-ups the other way, the crew just starts standing around looking around going, why? We're moving these things 5 different times. It's eating into our day. It's twice as much work. Why don't we just shoot the whole thing out one direction and then shoot the other thing out the whole direction? It's the same idea as a cinematographer who early on, like when you're setting up a shot, will immediately call for an ND filter to be placed inside the camera. And now that the ND is inside of the camera, it's a little bit quicker to do. But before, when you're putting actual ND in front of the lens and it requires a camera assistant to go over there and drop the ND filter, that's okay. But you don't want to be changing the ND filter 3 times just because you don't like where the exposure is, right? Because the camera assistant will very quickly become tired of changing the ND, and they'll just, they'll quietly or quite vocally revolt and say, listen, set the stop. I'm going to put the filter in. You get 1 change of the filter, right? You get 1 change because it's not doing you any good. You're just sitting there because you don't have anything else to do because everyone else is putting the plan that you have in place. And you might be getting a little bit nervous about your levels or your choices, so you're sitting there fiddling with the lighting and the ND actually inside of the camera. So just do yourselves a favor and look out for directional flops and make sure you're not putting the crew through any double work. Not only does it make them upset, but it makes you look bad as well, right? Because you haven't planned for this and you haven't thought it out in your head for 2 seconds to go, wait a second, we can be way more efficient this way. And being more efficient equals a better project because you're going to get more time to explore the areas that you want to explore. Rather than having 7 minutes to light a particular scene, you can get away with 10 minutes or 15 minutes. So those little nuances that happen with the framework when you're on set and you're looking and judging and trying to salt and pepper the image and create some contrast and some difference, any more time that you can get in that specific period of look creation when you're on set on the day is valuable stuff, and you don't want to give that up, wasting it away on inefficient movements. So big lighting directions for wide shots and initial lighting times is main one, and then the second one is big directional changes. Make sure you're not doing any double work. And I would add just one last thing if you're looking at big schedules, and it's something that's slightly different than a job like this, is equipment and gear necessary for the shots. If you remember back to the schedule, there's a little tiny area where they're going to have any extra gear, grip, lighting, camera, things that are necessary, whether it's a Ronin or a Techno Crane or a Dolly. Just be careful that everybody is across what is needed for all of those shots that may be a little bit different. If you're only going to use the gimbal 1 shot in the day, make sure that it's on the schedule so that the camera team can have it prepped and ready to go rather than just stumbling into it on the day and realizing, wait a sec, the very next shot we're going to be in gimbal mode and we haven't planned for it at all. So just looking ahead, trying to find those little discrepancies between your plan and the first ADs and the directors, and then getting that information back to the first AD and the director as fast as you can so that those changes can be implemented. Because people, even though it's a rough draft of the schedule, people will immediately start to launch into their preparations based off of that schedule. Because time is so crunched at the end of the pre-production schedule, this is where the panic buttons start to get hit, and people will be moving based on that schedule. Locations will be moving based on that schedule. Art department, production design, they'll be getting these things ready to go. So the faster you get it in, the more likelihood it's actually going to come to fruition, it's going to come to pass, and you'll get those ideas over the line. So that being said, the schedule is done. It is in the books. We are now moving on to the fun part of the shoot, which is the actual shoot days. So let's jump into the next section here and get into actually on set with the materials, with the schedule. We've come up with our plan. It's now time to execute.